The book of Habakkuk might be in the book of Habakkuk where it says in his hands where the beholding of his power, man. All right, so he's coming back terrible, man. He's gonna come back terrible. But let me just finish this up and I'll get that article out. It says because I called and ye refused, and I have stretched out mine hand and all my regarded, but ye have set a note to all of my counsel and with none of my reproof, I will also laugh at your calamity. So man, the Lord's gonna laugh at the calamity of these people when it befalls them. We've been out here, man. It ain't like the truth went out here. It ain't like we wasn't getting the work in. All right, so guess what, man? When the table's flipped over, we're gonna laugh at your calamity, man. We're gonna mock when your fear comes, man. We're gonna mock when your terror comes, man. All right? And that's gonna be a damn beautiful thing that the Most High is gonna have it to where he's men, he's elected, right? We're gonna be pushing for a certain period of time, and after that period of time, right, we had all of, you know, the Balus of the world, you know, the Isaiahs of the world, the Hamites of the world. After all is said and done, these fucking idiots, right, are gonna be laughable, man. They're gonna be laughed at, man. I'm gonna laugh at a guy like that, man. Like, damn, man, it was so simple to understand. You couldn't get it, but not only did you couldn't accept the fact you couldn't get it to the point that you made it your hobby, right, to scoff against the truth, man. I'm gonna laugh at a guy like that when the Most High puts hell upon it, man. All right. Then you got these different other Israelite camps that get emotional when we say that 2/3 of the people are gonna be 2/3 gonna be destroyed, man. Have you seen some of the things that these people say against the truth, let alone do in this world, man? They gotta be destroyed, man. All right, but let me switch up gears real quick now. This is off of pt3, man. All right, the news channel. All right, you can check that out by yourself. Now this is a senior Russian diplomat, man. All right, and really what this document's gonna show you, right? What this article is gonna show you, right, is the fact that we're so close to that. We're so close to that World War III, man. That could snap off and get, you know, it can happen at any point, man. Right, leading to the fact, or leading to the point, right, that the ever apparent point that you gotta get your shit together, man. You gotta get on point right now, man. This ain't no time to be slacking back and relaxing and all of that, man. This is time to get heavy into the spirit, man. But this is what the guy said, all right? It says, countries eyeing NATO arms, right? Troops playing with fire, right? Russian envoy, right? That's the title of the article. It says, a senior Russian diplomat says NATO's increasing military presence in the region is playing with fire. Now, does not the scripture speak about the fire that's going to come, man? All right? Right, but see, you know, it ain't gonna be. It's gonna be coming from the sky. It's gonna be coming from the sky, but it ain't gonna be like no mystical thing that it's gonna be coming from the sky. Because it's gonna be coming from the sky. We're gonna be shot up from the ground from these Russians that you're playing against, man. See, when you go out there, a lot of people don't understand this. When you go out there in the Middle East, right, around the borders of Russia, right, you got the chess pieces, right. You got what is necessary, right, to endeavor in a World War III, man. That's what you got out there in the Middle East, man. That's what's set up, man. That's what this document is showing you, man. It's showing you that you got NATO troops, right, setting up garrisons across the Russian borders, right, and then when they come into the, you know, your so-called mainstream media within the so-called Western world, you got it to where they demonize Russia. They make it like they're the bad guys. All right. It says here, it should be no secret for our Western partners that in any attempts to deploy any weapons potentially dangerous for Russia are like playing with fire. This is Alexander Grashko, Russia's permanent representative to NATO, right, said on Friday. So we have to take out of that. You got a Russian representative. You got a Russian within there. You got a Russian representative. Right? And the way he's put this out, man, you gotta see how the guy was saying it. He was saying this in a kind of sarcastic tone, man. You can kind of get the tone that he was pushing out there, man. That's what he said, our Western partners, man. Wait, hold on a minute. I thought Russia and the US had no dealings, right? More so, I thought the US was putting all kind of sanctions against Russia, right? For their so-called aggression, right, against the Ukrainian people, man. So this guy's being rhetorical right here when he says he's talking about the Western partners, going to show you that the tension that you have out there in the Middle East is ever more increasingly apparent. All right. So it says, hey, Grushko stated that there is no justification for NATO military troops to campaign in the region, right? What does that let you know? That lets you know that whole Ukraine thing right? If he's saying there's no justifiable reason for them to be, you know, deploying weapons and arms within the Ukraine and all of that, all right? Right? You know, if you gotta extrapolate the information, what he's saying, man, is saying in a roundabout way, he's saying the whole thing out there that you have in the Middle East and within the Ukraine, that's all a setup, man. And we know it's all a setup because when you go out there, you got ISIS out there, right? ISIS is nothing but a CIA contractor. All right, they all set up by the CIA. You trace back where all their weapons come from, because weapons got to come from goddamn somewhere. So it's either the Russians providing them, the Chinese providing them, or the US providing them. Now, the last time I checked, Russia and China were on the same side. So guess what? It's going to be the US, right? It's going to be the US that's going to be supplying them weapons, of which all of that Ukraine thing manifested itself in the so-called Arab Spring. Right, of which that was all to do with Esau destabilizing the Middle East, because he set up all kind of puppet leaders, right, and he also set up the rebels. So he set it up to where he provided the arms to the rebels, right, to go up against the government that he set up, which destabilized the so-called Middle East, right, and that's where that whole Arab Spring came from. But that was all, go back to Albert Pike's World War III algorithm, man, right? That was all set up from hundreds of years ago, man, to where they was going to destabilize the Middle East, and they going to use that as a reason, right, to start the World War III, man. And in so doing, starting their so-called World War III, they wanted to institute their so-called New World Order, man. All right, that's what the ultimate end game with these elites is. All right, right. They wanted to destroy all of the people to where they're going to dig into hell, that the scripture says. All right, they're going to have it to where they're going to fly to, try fly to different places within the so-called, within so-called space to escape the missiles falling down. All right, right. But guess what? That's all that's going to do is preserve them, right, for their judgment to come when the Most High sets up His kingdom underneath the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans. All right. It says, Gusko stated there is no justification for NATO's military campaign, right, in the region, considering the current security conditions, stressing the fact that Russia has no intentions to attack its neighbors, to attack its neighbors. All right, so you're having it to where Russia's kind of, kind of taking a so-called laid-back approach, which goes into the scriptures, man. That ties within the scriptures. The approach that Russia's taking to the whole situation coincides exactly with the scriptures, right? Because Russia was always going to take a laid-back position to it until the Most High puts hooks in their jaws, which I'm going to bring out now here, man. Right? It says, "Behold, I am against thee, Magog," and all of that, man. Get that real quick. Ezekiel the 38th chapter. Right, so this is going to be in the book of Ezekiel the 38th chapter. Yeah, this is Ezekiel the 38th chapter on down. Right, it says, and the word of the Most High came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog and the land of Magog and the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against them. Right, when you check out all those lands, all right, you check those lands out, you're gonna find out that's where that's what you know is modern day Russia. All right. So it says the Most High is going to where he's eyeing them out, so to speak. He says, and say, thus saith the Lord, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks in thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth all thine army and horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with sorts of armor, or even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Right, so the Most High was going to drag them, he's going to force them, because they're kind of taking a laid-back approach to this thing, man. The Most High is going to have it to where he's going to put hooks in their jaws. He's going to force them to go to war against the Americans, man. All right? It says, and Persia, which is the Iranians, right? The Iranians, right? gonna play a major part within the war to come. So is the so-called Israel, the so-called land of Israel, man. The Israelis, man. Them gutter rights. They're gonna play major parts in this. This is Ethiopia and Libya, right? With them, all of them with shields and helmet, Gomer and all of his bands, talking more. And the north part, it says, "Be thou prepared for thyself, and thou and all of thy company." And we're talking about companies. When you put it into modern terms, it's talking about those what you know is military treaties, right? We go to war, you're gonna back us, man. And when you go to war, we're gonna back you. That's why I said Iran's gonna play a major part within this, and so is Israel, because all of those, right, are basically Russia and China. So to where you got Israel, it's got a military allegiance with America, right? And you got it to where Iran has got a military allegiance, right, with Russia, man, right? And that's why the scripture also says the least of the flock, right, is going to draw them out, man. It's going to pull them out to the war, and also says it's going to put hooks within their jaws, all right? So it says here, man, be thou prepared, and prepare thyself, and all of thy company, and assemble thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. So that coincides with what I just said, man. Trees and all of that. That's how they become a guard unto them. You protect different countries. All right, and all of their company also encompasses China, because China's also going to play a major part in this impending World War III, man. All right, it says, "Be thou a guard unto them." And it says, "And after many days thou shalt be visitors, and in the latter days thou shalt come into the land, right, that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel," right? For which the point was in the upper part of the scriptures. Getting back onto this article, man. All right, it says NATO has been losing the reason for its existence in the new security conditions when it has no big enemy, man. All right, and so what he's alluding to is the fact there's no big enemy. There's no reason for NATO to exist at the moment. Right? It says serious people understand that Russia has no aggressive plans, right, and cannot have such plans yet. The Russian diplomat further touched upon the clashes between Kiev troops and pro-Russian forces in eastern Ukraine, saying the deadly conflict saved NATO, right, from a perspective of political non-existence, right, and brought the alliance back to the center of the European transatlantic agenda. So they had to create that thing out there in the Ukraine to make NATO relevant again, in other words. All right, he says elsewhere, in his remarks, right, Grushko warned Europe against following Washington's policy in the regions, saying projection of forces against Moscow would only result in a clash of all concepts about the construction of a joint security system based on cooperations, right, but not confrontations, right? So in other ways, man, what he's talking about here, he's talking about war, man, right? He's saying, man, if Europe follows the same kind of proceedings, right, the Americans have done, right, in that they got all kind of troops set out there within Western Europe and all across Europe, right, there's going to be repercussions of that. That's what this geezer's saying, man. All right, he says today I'm the entire European Atlantic community are in a position where, when risk of returning to the Cold War schemes and are running high, and there are no signs so far that NATO might change their course. So we're getting back into that Cold War. Russia's getting back into that Cold War mentality, man. Setting up their alliances and having their people strong, and that goes like you just seen in the book of Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, right? Right, that coincides directly with the scriptures, man. See, you gotta be really, you gotta have the wool over your eyes, so to speak, not to understand this is talking about exactly what it says in the scriptures, man. All right, that's like a page taken out right out of the scriptures, man. All right, and this guy is saying, man, that there's no course. NATO, right, it's not changing course. It's rather more, it's returning to the point where what would have happened before so-called World War I and so-called World War II, man. That's the nature of what's happening now here. All right, it says Earlier this day, the Russian Foreign Ministry spokesman Maria, and I can't pronounce that surname or anything like that, it says also voiced concern over Sweden's plan to join NATO, vowing Moscow or adopt retaliatory measures in case Stockholm implements its controversial decision. It says NATO-Moscow relations have been extremely tense in recent months, man. All right. So the tension, like I've been saying a second ago, the tensions, there's ever-growing tensions between these two nations. The aggression that the so-called U.S. and NATO, all right, have within Eastern Europe, and within Eastern Europe and along the borders of Russia, man. Right? They see that as a threat. They're seeing that as a threat right now, man. All right. It says relations have been extremely tense in recent months. Right? It says, and Kiev accused the Kremlin of supporting pro-Russian forces in Eastern Ukraine. All right, it says Russia categorically denies the allegations, right, and NATO is responsible, right, for the flare-up in Ukraine, man. So NATO is the ones they're showing you right there that NATO, which is nothing but America, but really, right, you so-called English Edomites, man. Right, the other side of the other side of the fighting forces, you go NATO one side and you go Russia the other side, right? But they blaming Russia for everything, but really they're saying it wasn't them, it was you, man. All right. Which goes to show you that the confusion that that usually is perpetuated by Esau being trying to instigate some kind of chaos so he can set up his own thing. All right. Let me finish this up. It says so two mainly, and pretty much that's really the main points within that article, man. All right. So you're getting into where, man, we're returning to that old, Cold War, pre-World War I, pre-World War II state intervention, man, for lack of a better word. That's the state of a play that we're in, man. And what's that ultimately gonna do, man? That's gonna have it to where you Edomites is gonna have yourself wiped off of the face of the planet, man. All right, that's gonna have it to where you have an all-out war out there in the Middle East, man. And like it says in the scriptures, man, right? Knowing this first, right? But the triumphing of the wicked is for a short time, which going to bring out right now in the book of Job, the 20th chapter, because I quoted it, man. All right? Job, the 20th chapter, and the 3rd verse on down, it says, knowest thou not this, of old since man was placed upon the earth, that the triumphing of the wicked is short and but for a moment. So, you was doing good and you was doing all right for a moment, but you're going to have it to where the Most High is going to have your triumphing, it's going to bring it down to zero, man. All right, and that so-called new world order that you think you're gonna achieve by way of instigating these so-called world wars, man, right? That's not gonna happen, man. The only thing that's gonna come out of that, right, is a new establishment, a new rulership, right? That's gonna be perpetuated by the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, the real Israelites, all right, and they're gonna be the top dogs, man, right? The top guns, man. So you can speak, all right. The scripture talks about having it to where these, pretty much the society that we're living in, the curses that we're under, are spoken about in the book of Deuteronomy. Those are going to befall our enemies, man. All right, all of those curses are going to befall our enemies. See, when this thing gets set up, the society, the kingdom, the Most High is going to have it. Is going to have for the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, right? You Edomites, right? The wicked, like the scripture speaks about, are going to be the least, man. Right, all of the curses that are spoken about within the scriptures, they're going to be upon you. All right. So it says, the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. Though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and his head reach unto the clouds. So, got this man's excellency, all of them so-called hyper-technological buildings and skyscrapers, of which the scriptures talks about having a building no more than 3 blocks high. Rather more 3 floors high, 3 stories high. This guy's got all kind of cave structures, because that's indicative of his nature. That's the nature that he likes to live in. He likes them cave structures. Because what? Going to the book of Job, rather more the Obadiah, the 1st chapter, around about the 3rd verse, man. Right? It talks about his pride being deceived him. Right? Thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks, man. Talking about the Caucasian man, the Edom, man. Right? Which is going to be destroyed, man. Because he's triumphant, he's just for a short time. So you think you destroyed the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, you think you've removed the truth from within the earth, But the truth is gonna be is even of they're having it to where you have now what we know now is so-called information wars, man. See, whilst the vast majority of the people out here are dumbed down, you got it to where you got actual information wars out, right? People want to be the first ones to get the understanding, the first ones to bring out the information of whatever's happening out there within the world, man, right? And the other, and it's a war because you're battling against the mainstream media, right? Of which the mainstream media will be saying the opposing statements. Case in point, the thing that you have out there in Ukraine, man. Mainstream media will have you believe that that's been instigated by the Russians, but the truth of the matter, that was instigated by starting off with the Americans, right, and Nato, man. All right, that was instigated by the same people that are saying it was instigated by the Russians, man. That's what we know as the information wars, man. All right, that's the times we're living in now. We're living in times where there be information, or which information is really the first parts of war. All right. Right, all them different kind of movies will show you that. That's why you have spies. Because what does a spy do? Is he gets intel. What's another word for intel? It's information. A spy, you send them spies out prior to a war to seek out what's going on in different countries, right? To see and to seek information. And when that's the wars that we're having right now, right? All right, but ultimately that's gonna perpetuate to what you're gonna know as World War III. Man. That's what it's gonna perpetuate to. All right, so it says there, though his excellency mount up to the heavens and his head reach unto the cloud, yet he shall perish forever like his own done. So although he's got, although he's living large right now, man, he's gonna perish forever like his own done, man. All right, though you set up all these different kind of governments and what you call pleasure and splendid within your society, of which that's all madness, man. That's gonna be incomparable to what we're gonna have within the kingdom of the Most High, man. That's gonna be too base for us, man. All right.